Hello, everybody. Welcome inside the 97th great year Red Wings Stanley Cup year, 97 edition of the Wrap-Up. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler with you. Dan, as always, it was a sad weekend in the Detroit sports world, but almost bittersweet. The Red Wings sent off and said farewell to Joe Louis Arena after 38 seasons there, and the Pistons then followed up saying farewell in kind of a worse way. No one really cared. They said farewell to the Palace, which was a little bit newer, opened in 1988. So about 9 years newer still, but they had some renovations done to Joe. Let's face it, there was no renovations ever there. So both will then now play at Little Caesars Arena next year. First off, real quick, before we jump into it, what's your thought of both teams calling one building home?
I don't like it. Detroit had something special where you didn't have to share, an arena like, look at LA with the Clippers, Lakers, the Kings. I liked that, Joe Louis had its own identity. The Palace had its own identity. You just kept those separate. It's nice. It's going to be nice having, the Pistons downtown, but I just feel like the Wings have put in the work. They have the history, the legacy, and nothing against basketball, but let's face it. I mean, when you have Detroit's called Hockey Town, yet you're still splitting an arena with a basketball team who, let's be honest, really doesn't have the history or like I said earlier, the legacy that the Wings do. The storied history is just awesome with the Wings. You got the Bad Boys era, you got the going to work, but really, can you think of anything else before that? Maybe it's just with our age, but I was really upset. I'm sure a lot of hockey fans were, and even some basketball fans were probably upset. I just like having them their own arena with their own identity. I did have the privilege of going down to Minnesota where the Wild plays, and that whole arena is dedicated.
Consol Energy? Is that the name of the arena there?
That is, I forget what it was called. It feels like they're always changing the name of those arenas, especially when they're corporately owned. But that whole arena is dedicated to hockey. And they have all the different high school teams' jerseys around the concourse, and it's just pretty cool to see. And the Palace did it right with their legacy with the Pistons all around the concourse, and the Wings. Well, with that being an older arena, aside from the paintings and the murals on the wall, you really didn't get too much. A couple of different championship boxes, but I feel like they really could have capitalized on, just the Wings. So to me, that's frustrating. We'll see where it goes. It doesn't seem right. Like, you really haven't heard that much about the Pistons moving downtown as far as the excitement. I mean, even if you look at the logo for the LCA, it's a hockey puck. So we'll see where it goes. There might be something else in the works.
Well, I'll tell you why you haven't seen much about the Pistons going down. It's because no one cares. Yeah. Let's face it. All right, I've heard on the radio and places and articles that this is a great move, the best thing for the Pistons. And that's a head scratcher to me because, okay, sure, geographically, more basketball fans probably reside in the Detroit area because when you come out the Auburn Hills way, it's more business and executive kind of tickets a lot of the time. A lot of the season ticket holders are businesses bringing their clients and whatnot. Where down Detroit, it's probably more the casual fan who actually enjoys the game of basketball. But you can make the same argument. People driving from Detroit to Auburn Hills, that's a long way. And then especially if you're out towards Ann Arbor, you won't get home till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning after a 7:30 game on a weekday. Simply that's too far. But then you could also make the argument people driving from Flint or that area. Driving to Detroit's and absolutely not going to happen. It's no way, shape, or form. But to Auburn Hills, it's maybe 25 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic. Those type of people will not make it down to Detroit because it's simply too far. And now, to my personal opinion, I hate it, really. The Palace, it's a good venue. They've renovated. The concourse is big. I'm not saying it won't be the same at LCA, but to just get rid of it completely and bring the Pistons down to LCA and share with the Red Wings, to me, for the district, sure, that's great. But for the two franchises themselves to share, it's a lot of work on the staff within the building. There's going to be two staffs that will then have to unite as one to constantly bring in the court. Sometimes there's going to be double dips.
Yeah.
You could have a hockey game at noon, a basketball game at 7. You're going to have to clear everyone out, bring the court in. You've seen it at Staples Center. You've seen it at United Center, Madison Square Garden. All these places already share And it's just unbelievable. And if you notice, the ice quality at those places is very low, towards the bottom of the league. Detroit and Edmonton have always taken pride. I'm not sure at the new arena in Edmonton, but I know at their old place, it's just, I think it was Rexall place, I believe.
Very good, nice.
That their ice was always top 2 in the league. The best American ice was the Joe. Al Sabaka kept it great. And then the best Canadian ice was in Edmonton every year. And this year you've started to see a little bit of a decline just from players arguing that one game that comes to mind for me personally is a New York Rangers game. Alain Vigneault said it was the worst ice he has ever seen in his career. Crimea River, you still got the 2 points and you still won the game. But the ice quality is a real big question mark for me. Bringing in basketball to just constant traffic on and off the ice surface, because during the season, the ice stays there. For these events, they don't melt the ice and break it down to cement. What they do is they just put their flooring over top of the ice and put a basketball court on it. So all that stuff is affecting the ice quality. There's going to have to be a lot of more clean scrapes with the Zamboni, and it's just the refrigeration system might get messed up because they're going to put the hardwood on top of it. It's just really a question mark to me. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. And sporting aside, forget the sports. I just love we're East Siders, so naturally we're going to love going to the Palace a lot more than going downtown. But say what you want about the parking at the Palace. I would park 10 out of 10 times, rather park at the Palace than I would anywhere downtown. And I'm not trying to bring safety into that, but it's just so inconvenient. It's expensive. You guys had season tickets for long enough for a Lions game. Any Lions fans know that unless you got the premium parking pass.
You can't park there. You got to shuttle in.
Yeah.
You have to. And that's a great point. Palace parking is great. They have their own lot. The back end of the lot is M59. You are right on the freeway, smooth shot. You have the police blocking off the road for you to get out. It's nothing like it. And that was one of the only good things about the Silverdome was their parking there as well. You're right by I-75. You're right by M59. You're right there. Updike's right there as well. And to me, this whole new district thing, parking is kind of on the back burner. No one really cares. Well, they're putting in a garage. Did you hear that? A 200-spot garage. That's great. You can fit about 500 people in there.
Well,
what about the other 18,000?
Yeah. You can cram as many people as you want, but getting out of there. Look at the Joe Louis parking garage.
If you're on the roof, you're not going to get out for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You better have some drinks on ice and just pop the trunk, listen to your favorite music, maybe the post-game show with Kenny Cal and Paul Woods. Just call it a day because you're not getting out of there. And that's one thing there's going to have to be a lot more shuttle services. And for the surrounding areas, Harry's Bar especially comes to mind. That was the only building they did not bulldoze in that area. Good for them. They better have a couple shuttles on deck because that could be a cash cow for them. Oh, yeah. But to me, that whole area, you're going to have to park maybe Fox Theater and further out and expand, shuttle in, walk in, go to these bars and restaurants because parking is going to be just a madhouse.
Right. And as you may have seen with our Shelby This Week episode, Uber does have a contract with the Comerica Park, and you will be able to get a discount if you are going to a Tigers game. I think you'll be seeing a lot more of that. I recently had to go downtown. We were at Greektown, and we just took a lift back, and it cost me $25 back with a tip. So to me, that really wasn't that bad. If it's going to save me time, that might be something to consider. But then again, you got to, what driver you're going to get, this, that, and the other. I don't like the parking situation whatsoever. It's out of the way. It's inconvenience, especially for us East Siders. And personally, I love the Palace. I've gone to a lot of concerts there. I don't know how many, if you've been to a few, but it's just that much nicer. The staff is awesome. Maybe it's because the windows that they actually have.
Yeah, and they're not even on a river.
Yes.
Like the Joe is on a riverfront. It felt like you're in, Jackson State. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, going back to Uber just a smidge, they say it's a discounted rate. But to me, any sporting event, they automatically tack on money.
Correct.
Because you're pretty much just dodging that fee. Yeah. And you're paying regular fees. To me, it's a scam.
Yeah.
The parking is terrible. It's going to be a joke.
And did you, from day one when they broke ground, was there can you recall any talk of, we're really going to prioritize parking
No, 'cause
situation.
they don't care.
No.
People are going to go no matter what, so they don't care about parking. Who cares where these people go? Oh, we got the queue line. They can just take that. Where are you going to park? There's no queue line station. We're going to park at the station. And no, they don't care. People are going to go no matter what. They're going to fill. They're going to spend money, and that's all that matters. And let's move on and say farewell to the Joe, eh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sunday was an emotional night down at the Joe. As the Red Wings said, farewell in good fashion. What a performance. What an overall ceremony. All the greats came back, and they skated to a 4-1 win. And how about Riley Sheahan? 0 goals in his first 79 games. Game 80 for him, which was the final game of the year for the team. Final game at Joe Louis Arena. He notches not 1, but 2 goals, including the first goal of the game, final goal of the game, and the final goal at Joe Louis Arena. Thoughts?
Well, first of all, I mean, don't ignore the fact that you did. I will give credit where credit is due, and Nick did call the fact that, would it be something if Riley Sheahan scored the last goal?
Thank you.
And yeah, so congratulations on that.
I should play the lottery, right?
You should. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
I mean, we've already had a $40 million winner in Macomb Township off of Hayes, so why not? Maybe the
did.
streak's hot.
Yeah, head on down a couple miles to Shelby, TWP, and you can find me playing the lottery.
But with that, that whole, just, it's a blur to me. I mean, I can't even imagine what it was like for you being down there. But just watching it from, the comforts of my own home was just incredible. I mean, I don't know what was harder, is just watching everything for one last time at the Joe. I mean, say what you want about the place, but the history, the legacy that it has is just amazing. You'll never forget the first time you walked in. I know you and I talked about that last week, but watching that clock count down for the final time and having Mickey Redmond and just being quiet and he goes, we're going to let the fans take this one away for the last 15 seconds. And just listening to that was just something. I mean, it really got you in the feelings, and you guys sounded amazing there. But yeah, that was tough to watch. I'm not going to lie. There was a little teary. I was a little teary-eyed that day.
It was. What got me in the ceremony after was not so much the Stevie and the Ken and the Scotty. Those were great and all, more uplifting moments. But when Karen Newman came out, and to me, I was like, okay, this is going to be lame and tacky. But the video they played with her, the song, just almost like this isn't goodbye, it's see you later. It felt like you were at a funeral. And just showing all these moments, and they showed Gordie Howe and Mr. I and all this stuff. It was just really, really emotional, really, because that was the place. That was my childhood. Mm-hmm. I remember just moments of my first game. They played the Philadelphia Flyers in 1995. Like, I didn't even have a ticket. Like, I sat in my dad's lap because I was small enough, and I'm still pretty small. So, why have I been buying tickets all these years? But no, and then moving on, like, I remember another moment when the auto show was in town, and I thought, my dad told me we're going to the auto show, and I wasn't really big into cars, so I didn't really care. I'm like, sweet, yeah, it'll be fun. And we were walking past Cobo for some reason, and we got to the steps, the riveted steps of Joe Louis Arena, and he's like, maybe we'll ask the guy up there where the auto show is. And I was like, okay. I didn't know where it was. I'm like 6 or 7 years old. He's like, hold on, I got an itch. So I itched. Can you itch it for me? So I itched his wrist, and he slid 2 tickets to the Wings game out from under. And I was so excited. The Red Wings were. That was my sacred. That was a holy place. Like, that was it. My heroes were on that ice. Like, that's the Joe and the Wings and all the memories are the reason why I wanted to play hockey. I wanted to be them. Now I have to live through Fraser and adult league hockey, but
you're still playing.
It's still, and you still feel, the Joe might be worse than Fraser structurally, but that's fine because Fraser is bad too. But it's just all the memories under one roof. You can't not be emotional if you've spent your childhood there. Like, that was it. It was very emotional, and one final walkout, everyone sharing stories with each other, going back into the alumni room after the game. It's just, you seeing these guys just laying it all out there. So many stars. You walk by, you see Nick Lidstrom followed by, Stevie Y and Scotty Bowman, and all these guys are right there. You're just brushing shoulders with them. You just can't not be in awe. You can't, I had to pinch myself. I had to, make sure I was still breathing, right. And then you even had guys who didn't play the game. Like, Dave Coulier was down there. Cut it out, It was just nuts. It was great. And you see all these guys. Mike Vernon was great. He was hilarious. He didn't know how to operate the elevator. It was real funny. He's like my height. And to think that guy won a Conn Smythe Trophy,
And went toe-to-toe with one of
toe
the
to
biggest
toe with
goalies.
one of the biggest goalies, and one story that stuck with me was from Scotty Bowman in the ceremony talking about Thomas Holmstrom, and he said Holmstrom wanted a high number really bad. He's like, how about 98? And he's like, no, the highest you can go is 90. He's like, no, how about 97? He goes, how about this? I'll give you 96 because that's the year that you're going to be shipped back to Sweden and you're not going to last in this league. And it turns out he ended up playing over 1,000 games in his career with the Red Wings. Turned out to be one of the best, kind of grinded out players that the team has ever seen, that the league has ever seen. But he was asked who was better at that, you or Dino Ciccarelli. Kind of dodged the question, although Dino is in the Hall of Fame, scored 500 goals. It's hard to, it was a different era.
Yeah,
so it's
it
hard
really
to say,
was.
but overall just the Olympia and Illich Holland, everyone, the fans, everyone did such a good job and making that such a great ceremony. I'm going to miss the Joe. I don't think it's truly sunk in yet that I won't ever be back there.
Yeah.
And hopefully a bright future ahead at Little Caesars Arena, but it was just a great night for everyone involved.
Well, and then seeing, it's walking down, memory lane.
Literally.
I mean, you saw Marian Illich. Yes, you'll see her on the news every once in a while at a press conference, but just seeing her, I just remember when I see her, I just envision her and Mr. Illich just on that float, at the parade, smiling with the cup, that first year. You know exactly what you were doing that year. I was in elementary school. I had a perfect attendance up until that cup win. And my dad, we all went downtown to celebrate the parade, and it was it just takes you back. I mean, these people, Dave Coulier. I mean, like you said, even seeing him watching Full House back in the day. And Dino and stuff, it really brings you back, and it helps you remember what was, what it was like back then. There's so much stuff that's happened between then and now, and you lose those little memories that you make.
One of the more emotional moments too from that night, Bob Probert,
Yes.
who passed away years ago, was a fighter and enforcer. He spent most of his time in the penalty box at Joe Louis Arena. His wife spread some of his ashes in the penalty box at Joe Louis Arena. I thought that was kind of cool because they said he pretty much paid rent there because he was there so much with all of his fights and penalties he would take. As one of the best enforcers the game has ever seen. So that was a cool moment as well. Mm-hmm. Just moment on moment from the red carpet at the beginning. I'll show you a couple videos that I have of that I took. Just the current players walking up and the coaches. It was really good. And just the history of the building. It was great. Just seeing these guys interact with the fans one last time. And when I went up to the top of the steps of Joe Louis Arena and looked out, you couldn't see an end of people. It was like a Stanley Cup parade, except it was the absolute complete opposite. It sure was a disappointing season, but a great send-off for one of the best buildings. And I'm not saying structurally, I mean, the building was a dump, but just the memories.
Historically, yeah.
It just, for the average kid our age, that was our childhood. And then for the people older than us, like that was their golden years, their 20s. Like they've seen more memories than we have, obviously. They can think back to when John Ogrodnik was the best player on the team, and you could go sit up in the nosebleeds for like $6.50 because they were the Dead Wings. They were horrible. Mm-hmm. But now for us, we don't remember that. We remember them never missing the playoffs, always being good, 100 points every year. Stevie, Sergei, Shanny, all these guys, and it's just, I could ramble all day. It just is just childhood memories, just left, right, center.
Well, it's
the best.
To quote one of our favorite bands, I guess this is growing up because it's just like who's it tougher for? Our parents who grew up with the Dead Wings, and then seeing them mature and evolve into this powerhouse organization, or is it tough for us? Seeing this powerhouse team never losing or not making the playoffs, and going from just electric to where we are now with the situation. I don't know who it's tougher for, because you got at least the older fans get to enjoy or got to see the evolution of the Wings becoming into the powerhouse, and they did it at Joe Louis Arena. So it's I think it's gonna be tough for all of us. But for you and I, man, that was our childhood. You and I have gone back and forth. How many times have we watched that Hockeytown video, the '97
I think I might watch it when I leave here today.
Yeah. I mean, that
the-
VHS tape is that VHS tape at my house has pretty much
there might
been
be some dead spaces in it because I've watched it so much. It's
the
like
tracking
morphs.
would definitely be working
Yeah,
overtime on the VHS.
It's just overtime. Steve Yzerman, double overtime. Gretzky coughs up the puck. Steve Yzerman scores one of the best goals the Joe has ever seen, if not the best goal. For me, I don't know. I just lost my train of thought, but I had something I thought I was going to say. Oh, you asked if it was harder for us or our parents. To me, us, no doubt, because they had seen Olympia Stadium. They have seen the evolution to Joe Louis Arena. They've seen the team at its worst and then get to the top of the mountain and now kind of head back down the mountain. Hopefully they don't go into Death Valley again, but hopefully they can just zip line their way and stay here for a couple of years and zoom right on back in. But to me, it's us. We don't know what failure is.
Yeah.
We've never seen it. Sure, there's been disappointment, but it's not disappointment like we're seeing now.
Yeah.
In all the history, they went through a change, and we're now seeing it for the first time. They know how to deal with it. We don't. We're running around like chicken nuggets with their heads and their skin
Without the
cooked
dipping
up.
sauce, yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it without a little barbecue. Come on.
I was just reading they had a really good article, a lot of articles about the Joe going away, and one of them was saying, how frustrated we were with, Little Caesars Arena and that whole name and situation. But apparently, when Joe Louis opened, the fans, every time they acknowledged the Joe Louis Arena, over the PA system, the fans would boo because they wanted it to be, I believe they wanted
The new
Olympia too.
Olympia Stadium, yeah.
And it's ironic now. It's like we would give anything just not for it to be corporately owned, within the name. So who knows, what in another 40 years, what will we be booing then,
Yeah.
So we'll see. Honestly, when they had that press conference, what was it, Monday, Tuesday? Ken Holland had a press conference, and I really expected, or even at that ceremony, I really expected a surprise announcement that, we will be changing the name from Little Caesars Arena to Mr.
No,
Ilitch. In the back of my head, I was hoping for that.
No.
It seemed like if they were going to do that was the time. But yeah, that's and I really hope they really market or at least sell a lot of stuff from the arena before they tear it down.
There is going to be an auction. I can solidify that.
Yeah.
I don't know when or where or how much and why or who, but there will be an auction of chairs, just some memorabilia throughout, stuff from the carpet that Karen Newman stood on, like just everything. It will be auctioned off, and there's a lot of stuff in there that's going to go down with the ship, rightfully so. And
that's too bad.
like those 4 boards in the corner, the little individual bulb, the matrix boards, they need to bring those over.
Yeah.
No, but they won't. Those things are a pile. And it's just, there's so many little things that you can see, like, the
I would
no
take
leg
a
room, the constant spilling beverages on
The
people around
sticky
you,
floor experience, they'll probably just
feeding your family on top of a garbage can.
Yeah.
You could wear brand new shoes, and the moment you get off those steps, they're no longer brand new.
Right.
You need to burn them. I mean, just from everything, from the faulty elevators to, the smell
neon
of
lighting in
the
the
smell
Olympia
of
room.
alcohol from 1998.
Yeah.
Just a stale smell when you walk in. It doesn't get it. That's hockey to me. I don't know anything different,
Yeah.
and I don't want to know anything different, and that's just the way it is. Any last memories you want to share before we peace out?
Real quick, just the overall, I'll never forget is just walking through, being in that concourse and just awestruck, and me being little, everything was just massive to me at that point in my life. But walking through those sticky red curtains the first time and seeing that blue from the ceiling, the banners, and then just feeling that history, that the chill from the ice. That's something that'll always stick with me. And even when I'm 93 years old, should I make it that far, I'll be thinking about that. I'll never forget about that one.
Yeah.
What about you?
There's so many. Just being able to work there, I feel like I've gotten a chance to be lucky enough to see a lot of stuff people don't see. And just this last Saturday, I got to dual spin a couple octopi and right next to Al Zamboni. That was great. And just, I met Abe Lincoln there. I was determined it was the real Abe Lincoln. Someone had to tell me that he's been gone since 1865. Tomato, believe what you want. I met him in the Zamboni pit. He rode the Zamboni. From tributes to fallen heroes to banner raisings to everything. The best thing I patronized there was the Nick Lidstrom night when his banner went up. That was great. It was just there's so much history there, and I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be tough to say goodbye, but you better believe when that auction comes, Nick and I will be the first two in line, or at least pretty close.
We were gonna talk Tigers, but we don't want to ruin this moment we're having. They're 5-2. They're in first place. That's all we're gonna tell you now. Dan Myers. One last Joe Louis time.
Yeah.
Even though we're not at the Joe, but why not?
We get a green screen going.
See, oh look, there's the Raptors. Oh look, you can smell the beer. Dan Myers, Nick Buckler saying see you next time.
Farewell to the Joe.